How's it going, guys? My name is Hunter Hero, and this is my Fluffal deck profile because it's been tearing up my locals lately for whatever weird reason. My God! And I thought I'd show it off. I love this deck a lot, and it's not very expensive, so let's get down to it. Starting with your monsters, we have three of a Fluffal dog. This is your normal summon. So what he does is that he rotas any other Fluffal from your deck to your hand when he's normal or special summoned, or he can add Edge of Sabers. That's really about it. He's also a pretty beefy 1700 booty, so yeah, I guess that's something. Best starter. Next one on the list is Fluffal Bear. You can discard him and search for a copy of Toy... not search, set a copy of Toy Vendor straight from your deck to this side of the field. So they can't ash it. And then while it's on board, you can tribute it and then grab a polymerization back from your graveyard. It doesn't really come up, but if it does, I guess. This is part of a wombo combo, and it goes with the copy of Fluffal Wings. Some lists play it at 2. I prefer playing it at 3 myself. It's a level 1, light, so a lot of these guys are earth, so it being light does sometimes come up. 100 stat block, doesn't really matter. What this does is, if it's in your graveyard while you control a toy vendor, you can banish it and another Fluffal, and draw a card, and then you can send the toy vendor to the graveyard to draw another card. You can only use that second effect, I think. Yeah, then you can only use this effect once per turn. That turns into a +2, because you lose the toy vendor on field, but you get to search, you draw 2 cards, and then you search for a third card from the toy vendor, and we'll get to it later. I'll explain why later. Another 3 of, which a lot of people, I think, have been putting to 1 lately, is Fluffal Penguin. So, when he's used as fusion material, you draw 2, discard 1. He is like a mini Graceful Charity. He's pretty good. And then while he's on the field, you can special summon another Fluffal. That does kind of come up if you're trying to like link spam. We'll get to the extra deck in a little bit, and then you'll see where that comes in. You can only use his polymerization, like when he's used his fusion material effect, once per turn. But yeah, no, he's a pretty solid level 4, all things considered. All right, bit of a thing is I play 2 Fluffal Dolphin. This is one of the newer cards. This thing is really good, but not nearly as good as his counterpart. We'll get to him in a little bit. But level 4 Water Fairy, you can target a toy vendor in your graveyard, and you can set it, and then if you do, you can send a Fluffal or an Edge of Sabers from your deck to the graveyard. And then if it's used as fusion material for a fusion summon, you can shuffle into the deck one of your fusion spells or polymerization that is banished or in your graveyard. You can only use this effect to Fluffal Dolphin once per turn. This is pretty much why you don't care about Bear's floating effect, because this thing just floats while being used as fusion material, and this thing can be used to spin that polymerization you just used back into the deck. So, yeah, pretty spicy stuff. Okay, now we're moving on to the Oneoffs of Fluffals. We play 1 owl, 1 sheep, and 1 cat. So what these guys all do is they're really cards you don't really want to see, all things considered. Owl is a walking polymerization, and he if he's normal special summon from the hand, you can add a polymerization. But because he's a walking polymerization, you pay 500 and you can fusion summon. You don't even actually have to use him as materials. It's just normally you want to get him off the board. Sheep can special summon itself as long as you control another Fluffal and then summon one of your Edgems back from the graveyard. By bouncing a Fluffal back to your hand. So if you just need that Edgem to fusion summon again, Sheep's your person. Doesn't come up very often. Normally I just use him for link material. And then Cat. Cat's kind of a weird thing. Is level 1, not the level 1 you want to see. But if it's used as fusion material, you can add a polymerization back from your graveyard to your hand. You can only use that once per turn, but I'm not sure where the ruling on this falls in. I think it's like Dolphin, where you can use the same one, but I can't guarantee that. But if it is, that's pretty neat. It's just a one card. It essentially replaces itself as fusion material. It helps mitigate some of the loss of fusion summoning with this deck. And yeah, I like it a lot. So it works really nice. All right, let's get over to the other half of the deck, the Edge Imp cards. The most important one, Edge Imp Chain. What this guy does is that if you attack, you can add another copy of him. But that's not what you care about. If this card is sent to the graveyard for any reason, it searches your Fright for stuff. That's immeasurably powerful, and you'll understand why in a little bit. Edge Imp Scythe. This is the stronger counterpart to Dolphin, and oh god, my camera just unfocused real hard there. But what Scythe likes to do is he is a quick play fusion card on your opponent's turn. You can reveal this card in your hand, and during your opponent's main phase, quick effect, you can reveal this card from your hand, fusion summon one Frightfur fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field as fusion materials, including this card in your hand. If a Frightfur fusion monsters you control would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can banish him instead. So he's like Balanx. You can just replace it. Strong thing. Really, really strong. And then what of Edge Imp Sabers? You got to play him at 1 because a lot of your stuff searches him, and he's used to make some of the really strong fusions. The only problem is that he doesn't do a whole lot. You can bring him back by putting a card from your hand on the top of your deck. He'll summon himself back in defense mode, but I think I've used it twice. It doesn't come up very often. Alright, let's get to the spell cards. The bread and butter next to the fact that this is fusion deck. Toy Vendor. This thing is easily searched. It's like a worse Dark World dealing, so you can discard a card, draw a card, reveal it, and if it's a Fluffal, you can special summon a monster from your hand. It doesn't need to be the card you drew. I just tend to do the card I drew because it tends to be like dog. If not, you discard it. And I guess if you feel spicy, this can proc like Dark World effects, so for all that happy crap. Also, those cards are technically in your hand. It is a draw, so be careful. I guess if Droll comes back, that's something to stop this. And then if it's sent to the graveyard, you can add any Fluffal or Edge Imp Sabers, because he's the only thing you can search from your deck to your hand. This thing is essential at 3. There's a lot of stuff you can do with it, and I'll get to that when we get to some of the other key pieces. But other than the wings bear thing I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of other stuff the deck can do with this. 3 of the +1, as good as engage. Fright for Patchwork. You can use, this is the mainly what you're searching with Chain. Add 1 Edge Imp monster and a polymerization from your deck to your hand. You can only activate once per turn. Engage, eat your heart out. Because we have to play it. This is the only thing we have to play. It sucks. I hate all of it, but we have to play it because we don't have cool things. Konami don't let us have cool things. 3 of Foolish Burial Goods. This thing is used to make your toy vendor float for those essential searches you need early on in the duel to kill your opponent really, really fast. Ashbait. This is also Prime Ashbait. Fantastic card. I love every second of it. I think... And then we have a 2 of another new card called Fright for Repair. You can target a Fright for Fusion monster in your graveyard, return it to the extra deck, special summon a Frightfur or not a Frightfur, a Fluffal or an Edge Imp monster from your graveyard. And then you can banish this card from your graveyard, special a Fluffal or an Edge Imp monster from your hand. You can only use the one effect of Fright for Repair. You can only use each effect of Fright for Repair once per turn and only once that turn. The only reason I'm playing this at 2 is because it's horrible at 3. It's way too bricky. This is just essentially while you're drawing. If you don't kill your opponent turn 2, this is like your turn 3 plus option, or if you had to go first, just to rebuild your board and get your resources back mainly. Be careful about when you're proccing certain effects with this, because you will sometimes need to activate the last card in the deck, and this thing will ruin your resources for that, so just keep that in mind. The last card of the deck is Fright for Fusion. It's Miracle Fusion. Banish stuff from your graveyard, make big number. Really good card. This does banish your materials, though, so you gotta really be pushing for game for this to be worth it. Like, you don't want to do this if you're winning. Let me do a quick deck count. This is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Well, apparently I'm missing a card from the main deck, but I can't remember what that is, but it's not really that important, so we'll just say that the third one's Fluffal Dolphin, because it just can't come to mind. But I think I was playing a 41 card list before, but again, unimportant. Let's get to that extra deck, that oh so important extra deck. Alright, so first off, starting with our Oneoffs for Fusion Monsters, Fright for Sheep, Tiger, and Wolf. I was playing an old Instant Fusion variant where we played 2 sheep. Doesn't come up at all anymore, but still a pretty okay card. So it's used by fusing Chain and any Fluffal monster. If it battles, it stops your opponent's stuff from activating, I guess. If your opponent's playing scummy battle traps or something. I don't know. Decks are weird now. If it's destroyed by battle or card effect or opponent's card effect is sent to the graveyard, it'll summon itself back once per turn with an 800 attack point boost. Yeah, it's a okay setup. It's not really what you want to be making, but it does come up. Fright for Tiger. This thing is a walking nuke. You can only control one of these. When this card is fusion summoned, so it's used by it's made by sabers and one or more Fluffal monsters. When this card is fusion summoned, you can target cards on the field up to the number of fusion monsters, up to the number of fusion materials used for this monster's fusion summon, and destroy them. And then all Frighters gain 300 attack for each Fluffal and Fright for a monster you control, and you can only control one of it one of it at a time. This thing is ridiculous. This is normally what you're making with fusion. I do want to see more of this, but this guy doesn't come up very often. Fright for Wolf, same materials as Tiger, and with a 2k body. All he does is hit for as many times as materials as you made him with. That doesn't come up very often. I wish it did. This thing's hilarious. 2 Fright for Kraken. This thing's almost as good as Ding. I wish it was as good as Ding, but at the time that this thing was printed, this thing could not be as strong as Ding. This is made with an Edge Imp monster and any Fluffal monster, so super duper generic. 22, 3k stats. This thing is, those stats actually do matter. Once per turn, you can target a monster your opponent controls and send it to the graveyard. This card cannot attack directly the turn this effect is activated. Doesn't normally come up that often because this thing can also swing twice, and then at the end of the battle phase, it puts itself in defense mode. So yeah, if you use its send effect and then summon it back with one of the other extra deck cards, and then you can swing and have that spot removal. Super duper important because this is going second deck. 2 copies of Fright for Cruel Whale. This is the new fusion monster introduced very recently. And 26, 24 stats, not horrible. Any 1 Edge Imp monster and a Fluffal monster. Super easy to make. If this card is fusion summoned, you can destroy 1 card on both players' sides of the field. This does not target. It is so good. Once per turn, to quick effect, you can you can target 1 fusion monster you control, send a Fright for card from your deck to extra to the graveyard, except for Cruel Whale, and if you do, the target's monster attack is it gains half its own attack, on its original attack. Yeah, that effect doesn't really matter, because you're just going to be using this to nuke things. Yeah. You open sabers. This is like your scythe, I mean. You open scythe, and this is your removal, because what you do is you reveal scythe, you fusion summon this, and then you pop whatever starter they have, and then banish the scythe to protect it. Really good first turn disruption. I'm not playing 3 of it, though, because the third one has never come up in all my playtesting and all that. And then, ya boy, 3 Fright for Sabretooth. He requires 1 Fright for Fusion Monster, and 1 or more Fluffal or Fright or Edgent monsters. When this card is Fusion Summoned, you can target a Fright for monster in your graveyard, special summon it. All Fright for monsters you control gain 400 attack. If this card is Fusion Summoned using 3 or more materials, it cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects. Super, super duper simple in on paper, very complex in practice. Normally, what I like to do, going second, is what you'll do is you'll make Kraken, use it to send something, fuse it away with only 2 materials. You try to keep it cheap. Make the first Sabretooth. Sabretooth summons back the Kraken. Use the Kraken again to send something. And then you just essentially use it to cycle through all 3 of your Sabretooths, and you just spot remove their entire board and kill them in 1 turn. They can disrupt you, obviously, because it's combo format Yu-Gi-Oh!, so everybody can disrupt you, but it really doesn't matter. This thing is an utter beast, and this thing gets real big, real fast if you can daisy chain them together. 24 starting block, technically 28. It's almost as big as Blue Eyes, so don't really need to say much more. We have some Link monsters. Link Karibo. Just to get wings in the graveyard so you can do that toy vendor stuff. Cross Sheep. Boral Sword, and then I have this empty sleeve. I was playing Appaloosa, but I put it in one of my other decks. This is for Appaloosa. The Link 4s don't really happen unless you're low on fusion materials, and so you just spam out your Fluffal monsters and just make Link monsters with them, and then you just try to make the Link monsters work. Oh, that's what the one of is. There's a one of Pot of Avarice in here. I pulled it out for something. That's what this dolphin's supposed to be, is Pot of Avarice. You use Avarice to shuffle in all your materials again. Renew your deck resources. But, yeah, no, so, that's the extra deck. I hope you guys enjoyed this deck profile I made for this deck. This deck is ridiculously fun, and a lot of people get frustrated when they get OTK'd by a deck that wombos and combos and nobody understands it, and then you kill them. And they're like, what happened? I think this is going to do it for this deck profile, guys. Just let me know what else you guys want to see. Things are all kind of a mess. I should be moving out relatively soon. So I'll keep you guys updated on that. There will be vlogs. Oh god, this video is pretty long. But yeah, no, let me know what you liked. Let me know what you didn't like. All the happy crap. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.